Chris, we're speaking 9 days before Good Friday, where Penzance has a big engagement in the middle distance final.
Yeah, and he's had a brilliant winter. We've had Good Friday aspirations for him marked down for quite a long time, really, and he's another one that he hasn't put a foot wrong. Obviously, he's been campaigned much more sparingly. We've kind of had the path that we were going to follow from a long way out back in December. We kind of knew what we were planning on doing with him. He's managed to win both the trial races, one at Newcastle, one at Lingfield, which makes him eligible, should he win on Good Friday, for a massive bonus. So prize money wise, it's a huge day potentially, because not only is it good prize money for the race anyway, there is a bonus lying in wait should he be able to win. Obviously it's going to be more difficult. He's gone up another £6, but our feeling was, and Ali's feeling was, that Lingfield probably wasn't his ideal track, and he managed to overcome it to win down there. Back up to Newcastle I think will suit him better, for all that he won by further at Lingfield than he had done at Newcastle. That Newcastle form worked out really well, and I'm hopeful that he goes there with another good chance. I think he's progressing all the time. He's worked there this morning and worked really well. They're very, very happy with him, and I think there's more to come from this fella. He's gone up the weights a lot, but there's more there.
And he's improved hugely since you bought him. But what was it that attracted you in the first place to him?
It was a couple of bits of his form and his pedigree, and the rating that he had. He just looked like a horse that could be very well treated. It's a similar policy to all of them. Some of them work out, some of them don't. And to be honest, you believe that they'll all work out when you buy them. And it's nice when it does. It's frustrating when it doesn't. But it has to be a little bit of a numbers game, doesn't it? In trying to work out where you can get some upside from horses. But he did look like one that could go on and progress, and it's been good that he can. I think ideally he wants a nice sound surface and probably a track that doesn't have too much downhill element to it. I think flat tracks or flat with a stiff enough finish are probably ideal, but he doesn't want anything too undulating. And he's a horse that should go on the grass absolutely fine as well, for all that his improvement has come on the all-weather.
Chris here with Baldomero. He's had another sort of profitable campaign, running loads of very good races in defeat.
Yeah, good races in defeat. That's just sort of it for Baldomero. He's a horse that the handicapper just can't really give a chance to because of his consistency. He's only won one race since we bought him, and we've had him a good while. And unbelievably, that was over 10 furlongs. Since then, we've dropped him right back in trip and really campaign him as a sprinter now. But I think he'd be fine still at a mile. He's probably not a 10 furlong horse nowadays, for all that he's won over that trip. But yeah, he's been unfortunate, really. I think maybe along the way a few people have called him the odd name, and you can sort of see why, given how many times he's finished second in tight finishes. But I don't think he always does a great deal wrong. He's literally been the bob of the head on a few occasions, and I do think he's a horse that runs his race more often than not, and if he was given a bit of slack by the handicapper, he could go and run well. He's probably going to go to all-weather finals day down at Lingfield. He'll either run in the 6 furlong race or the mile race.
And does it give you a lot of flexibility in a horse with his versatility?
Yeah, it does, and he can go on the grass as well. So he's had a busy winter, so he'll have a little bit of a break again, but he'll keep on running his race, I'm sure.
His intervention, he's been a real star since you bought him.
Yeah, he has. He's been brilliant. You can see he's starting to get a bit tired now. He's been that busy over the course of the winter. But look, the other day was probably a bit disappointing. He's at the point now where, having been so consistent and been so busy, there's going to be the odd bad run and blip along the way. He's shot up the handicap, but really hasn't put a foot wrong through the winter. He ran really well in the Lady Wolfruna. He's won his races this winter, and he's just up to his mark now. He'll have one more go. He'll go to Lingfield on Good Friday. For the poorer run the other day, he got dropped back a pound, so that makes him eligible for the 0 to 90 over 6 furlongs down at Lingfield. He's right on the ceiling rating for that, so he'll go there, and then he'll have a well-earned break. He's
been a real money spinner, and he picked up a £20,000 bonus earlier in the season for winning one of the monthly prizes in the art competition. And he's still in the running for decent prize money in the overall competition, isn't he? Yeah, exactly. The plan at the start of the winter was, because he's a horse that does hold his form so well and you can run him regularly, was to campaign with the season-long bonus in mind. Picking up one of the monthly bonuses was literally a bonus for us, because he managed to
to have such a brilliant month in December, but he's held his form since, and he's up there for some good prize money in the yearly bonus, and it's certainly been earned, because if you compare him to a lot of the other horses that are in that list, and certainly towards the top of it, they started off much lower marks and have tended to campaign in lower grade races, whereas he's been in quite good races all the way through. So it's been hard for him, but as I say, he hasn't put a foot wrong, and he's just been a brilliant horse for us.
And when it comes to those bonus prizes, is that something you enjoy doing, plotting the campaigns for these horses and trying to maximise the prize money as you can go along?
Yeah, exactly. The bonuses are a great thing to try and nick a bit of during the course of the winter, but the prize money over the course of the winter has been decent enough as well generally, but those bonuses definitely make a difference, and it's something that we had in mind at the start of the winter for 2 or 3 horses, and it's gone okay. There's a couple of them that it looks like they're going to be in the money somewhere.
We're outside Zealot's box here. He was a real prolific winner for you for the winter last season.
Yeah, he was. He's been a bit antisocial this morning, but no, all good with him. He's obviously not been able to do what he did last winter. It was always going to be more difficult this year, and he just had a setback ahead of the season, which meant that we've been sort of playing a bit of catch-up with him, really. The plan has always been to have him ready for Good Friday up at Newcastle, and he's got qualified, but he was definitely in need of his first couple of runs, and I think Wolverhampton, where he's been on his most recent start, just isn't his track really. He's had a couple of his runs there, and he doesn't really like being on the turn all the time around there. Lingfield, he actually showed a bit, I thought, and again, you wouldn't have thought it was his ideal track. So he'll head up to Newcastle for finals day, and he's much better suited to that. Because he's sort of not been competitive, his mark has dropped a bit. He needs to take a big jump forward from where he's been, but he does look as though there's plenty of ability there. He's just worked nicely enough this morning, so I think that you'll see a better horse come Good Friday, and he's got both options. He could go in the 10 furlong race, he could go in the mile race. We'll have a look at both the entries and decide which way to go.
And beyond the all-weather, would you be hopeful that he could be effective on turf as well?
Yeah, you'd hope so. You would think so. There's no real reason to think that he wouldn't be, and he's obviously had a light campaign over the winter, so he's a relatively fresh horse. He is in the sales in May, but that's just because of the terms of the particular syndicate that he's in, and we'll have a look, we'll have a chat with everyone. It might be that we keep him on through the summer and into next winter, because he's a very talented horse on his day.
Here with an exciting sort, Darren Legend, Chris. He was very impressive at Newcastle, and we're speaking the day before he's running at Southall.
Yeah, he's back up to 7 furlongs at Southall. There's the reason for that really is that it's the last day that he can get the 3rd run in that would qualify him for finals day, and if he happened to go there and win, then we feel that there's a chance that he just scrapes in the bottom of the 3-year-old sprint up at Newcastle. And with that sort of money on offer, we want to give qualifying a go. There was probably a more suitable race for him on Saturday at Newcastle, but that falls outside of the qualification period for his 3 runs, and so we're kind of going back to 7 furlongs for that reason, rather than thinking that's the trip that he wants. I think he gets 7, but he probably is a better horse at 6. Time will tell on that front. I thought he ran very well at Kempston on his first start for us. He kicked clear, he only got caught close home. He was always likely to just need that a little bit, and he definitely stepped forward. We turned him out quite quickly because he came out the race so well, and he went up to Newcastle, and we bought him thinking that he was going to be a sprinter, and he just skipped away from them. He was very impressive. Quite what the depth of the race was, I don't know, but he's gone up a good bit for that, but not too much, I don't think, and I think he's a well-handicapped horse that'll have a good year. If it goes to plan at Southall, then the chances are that if he gets in, he would be down to up to Newcastle on Good Friday. There's a small chance that if he ran well but got beaten, that he could go to Lingfield on Good Friday. But whether that'd be his track, I don't know. So I think he's just a horse to follow through the season. I think he's lightly raced. He's getting better, and I'd be a bit disappointed if he doesn't have a good year.
And at some stage, do you think even 5 furlongs could be on the agenda, given the speed he shows?
He's got a lot of speed in his pedigree, and he doesn't look a slow horse. Just physically, he doesn't really look an out-and-out sprinting type. We could try it, but I think at the minute, 6 and 7 is probably a stiff 6 or an easy 7 is kind of what we've got in mind. But you never know. It depends what races are and where we decide to try him. If opportunities come up that we think that'd be worth a try, but for the time being, it'll be 6 and 7 furlongs that he's sticking to, and we'll work the rest out as we go along.
And he showed enough on turf last season for his former yard to suggest that he's going to be fully effective on that surface.
Yeah, I don't think by any means that he's an all-weather horse as such. I think he goes on it, but he was bought really with the grass in mind. That's why he didn't. The intention when he first ran wasn't to think about all-weather finals day, but once he had his 2 runs, it kind of comes onto the agenda, and you start realising that he might just scrape in, and so the initial plan had been to wait for the grass after last time, but we kind of think he's come out of it so well and his work's good and he just seems fresh and bouncing. He may as well go and have another run. And if it qualifies him for Good Friday, then all well and good. And he would go there if he came out of Southwell. So it's up in the air as to what's happening with him in the short term, but long term, I think he's a horse that will do well, and I think he's well handicapped.